First of all, hi Gabriel.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, you?
Good.
I read an interview with you regarding this new release, the Marauder's Midnight.
Yeah.
And you said something interesting. Even in pop music, songs can be art.
Yeah.
What do you mean, even in pop music?
Well, I guess you can do anything in pop, I think. And there's so many different kinds of, styles or even different kinds of songs that you can get into. But it just depends on the approach. Like, I didn't mean to make like a definition of art or something, but I take them very serious, songs. I guess it's a different sort of approach. I used to make music in a computer, and it was so fun in the beginning to mess around with stuff and add lyrics and put beats and mess around with arrangements, and it's a good way to get in there. And in a certain moment, I started to have sort of a different preoccupation with music.
You said certain moment.
Yeah.
What certain moment?
I think after doing 2 records and having played live and tasted what it was like to be an entertainer. So you have people coming to see your show for a certain kind of experience. It's like an up-tempo party, and I played a lot of Latin music and mixed it up with pop, electronica, and things like this. And it was great fun. It just, almost overnight, it stopped being fun somehow. And at the time, I didn't really know what was happening. I didn't know if it was some kind of stage fright or not being able to fulfill expectations. But then I realized that maybe there was something deeper that I was wanting to do, to go further and to go more naked.
You said overnight.
It felt like that. I think it took a little longer, but it felt...
Okay, but maybe was there some show, some experience, some song you did, or...
Actually, it wasn't. I think it was maybe making that second record in front of a computer again. I think made me really restless. And there is a curse inside of us. I think if my curse was... my heroes are people like Nina Simone and people who are known for their performances as well on album as live. That loneliness of performing a song with a piano or a guitar by yourself. It's a whole different way of making music than inside a computer or in front of a computer. So I guess the curse was already there, the seed was there. Like I would have to go to what I also love to listen to. And I think I started to demand that of myself again. Can you do that? Can you go in front of an audience for 45 minutes, an hour and play alone? I think that curse was bothering me, and I wouldn't rest until I proved that I could do it.
You said, could I do it again?
No, could I actually do it? Because a lot of people actually start like that, making music like that, and I started the other way around. I started through beats, computers, bands, a lot of info. And I only started doing what I'm doing now, which is being a singer-songwriter on my own, very recently, in terms of like probably 6 years ago.
But how come, in hindsight, why was there maybe a bigger explanation for you using the computer and using all these sounds, maybe?
Yeah, I think it really fit with the moment. I think it's the same reason why I started playing punk rock. It had a function, and the function was get out there and start making songs, and don't worry about how to do it, just do it. And the same when I met Jo Bogaert, the technotronic producer who produced my first 2 records. I was presented with all these possibilities, and it was just great fun to get in the kitchen and start throwing stuff around and the ingredients and see what came out. And that has a function, and one day that had its function and it's over. And I guess I was very much attracted to the other world of songs, which is the world of naked songs. I call it like that because it's once it bites you, it's like it doesn't leave you alone. It's to find these performances, to find people who put themselves in that place with few instruments and try to get you to listen to them.
What was the first song you wrote once you had this realization?
I think it already started to change during the last record called The Dangerous Return. I think already on a song called Old Shoes. It was very empty, it was very lonely. It was just me and the guitar, and I realized, wow, I have to show up in the studio and I'm gonna have to perform this, and what if I don't get it? Because It's also a different way of recording. But there it started, and I think after that I just decided to go all the way. This last record that we did now is completely live recorded.
Yeah. But I'm still searching for that for that moment.
That moment?
Yeah.
It's very difficult to put my finger on it because it happened, though to me it felt like I was in it felt like an overnight thing. I was in Vorst Nationale in Belgium, and this large audience had turned up to see this, and I felt this pressure of having to entertain them. But something told me I don't want to do this, and I don't know what it is. It's something. Most of the time, big changes in my life come really drastically. Like the body tells me, like, get out of here, and it's almost like an allergic reaction. And in hindsight, I can actually see that I kind of was not probably made to be that kind of entertainer.
Did also something happen maybe in your personal life? Maybe things too coincided?
Probably. I think there's a lot happening constantly. Maybe, you know, there's a period at the end of the 20s where a lot of people in the rock game either they die or they graduate to something else, or drastic changes happen. I think it has to do with testing out all your boundaries and get tired of partying maybe, or of seeing what's out there in terms of external stuff, and you realize that nothing would ever actually make you happy. Things you cannot really fill or satisfy a certain kind of well or a certain longing that you might have.
Yeah.
And that's a dark day, but it's also a really happy day because you realize that in order to really get fulfilled, you got to change your life. I'm very dramatic, so I take really drastic measures. So for me, that just meant moving away from the city, starting to take care of myself, wake up early, eat better, drink less, do exercise, live during the day, and ultimately that also prompted me to move to New York City, where it was again another drastic decision, like put yourself in front of an audience of maybe 15 people when I'm used to being, you know, in stages with a light man and a roadie, and it's great. It's these drastic things. My point is, it's great to take these measures because it puts you in a situation where you have to change your life, otherwise you sink.
And well, once you made the decision, the first song for this album. No, other question. Did also your songwriting change? I mean, songwriting lyric-wise, but also music-wise. But let's start lyric-wise.
Yeah.
In what way did it change?
Well, I had also been attracted more and more to because of this kind of way of writing songs where you're naked and you're alone. A lot more attention comes to the lyrics. So I realized that I would have to move to a city that was English speaking, because otherwise I'd never be in contact with an audience that demanded that, you know. I mean, it's not that people in the States or in New York listen more to lyrics. It's just that as I'm talking to you now and you're trying to understand what I'm saying, when you speak your own language, it becomes very obvious that what you're saying it's like speaking. It's like, I have the feeling that in Belgium and in Holland, people listen to the whole picture. Lyrics and music are kind of like a blur. They're the same, and they either like it or they don't. In the States, it's almost like if a band would sing in Dutch, you would know exactly what they want to tell you. And this pressure of having to communicate in your own language is necessary for me. I didn't feel that pressure in Belgium.
How did they react to your songs? Did you have to build your songwriting? I mean, the lyrics more and more. Was it something
in New York?
Was it something that happened that maybe you thought, well, now I've written a nice, good lyric, but the audience reacted differently to it?
You got to do it a lot. You got to show up a lot. Like we played there once a month, sometimes twice a month, and only after a while do you start to see what your songs are doing, because it depends on so many things. It depends on your mood that day, on your fear, on the fact that they might not be ready. They might be checking their phone and they might be talking to their friends. But the truth of the matter is, it's much more immediate if you're playing alone in a small cafe in New York and there's people right in front of you. They were literally that distance where you're sitting right now. The words come out of your mouth and immediately you know what you wrote. It's very unnerving. Like you just, sometimes you want to race home and change it, at that moment.
Is there one example that happened over there
Oh,
that you?
so many
Yeah,
times.
maybe you can share one.
I remember one funny, like things, that so many things happen in these atmospheres, and you see everything because it's not too dark, so you see everybody's reaction to things. There were these two young girls with a phone, and they were watching the concert, and like a lot of people, maybe in this new generation, you know, they're constantly on their phones and then watching. They might have been enjoying, but they were talking, looking at their phone and watching at the same time. And I remember telling them in the middle of a song, I'm like, I was trying to sing my song and they were louder than I was. So I was like, I'm really trying to sing this for you and you're talking to each other. And I mean, I forget my lyrics, I can't, you know. And as I'm playing the song, I'm telling them this, and they got so affronted that they just left, you know. And I felt, okay, you know, I think I did that well. I didn't lose my temper or anything. And just a short while afterwards, a guy comes from the back in the kitchen, you know, where they wash the glasses and stuff, and he's taking this humongous trash can across right in front of me. You know, I'm singing there, and I had managed to quiet down the audience, and this guy just comes out with an enormous trash can, and he drags that thing across the room. And I found, you know, I can't tell him not to do his job, you know. So sooner or later, you get good at dealing with these things, especially when you're playing in New York. You get to reacting to the room and what's going on.
Well, are there certain lyrics that you wrote that you thought brought the message across, but once you performed them, you thought, well, maybe I should use another line, maybe another
certainly.
word?
That was why I think you really hit it on the head in terms of this record. That's why it had to be made there. I mean, the album was made in this place called Rockwood Music Hall, where we played it twice a month. And every time we played, I got the messages like, okay, this didn't work, or this worked, remember it when you go home. Sometimes words changed because of your unconscious reaction that night, and you don't want to sing what you know you should sing, and you sing something else. And then it happened a lot that you said, that happened to me, that I said, when I get home, I have to remember to change this line because it worked tonight.